Hello everyone, welcome to the session. I am Subrahmanyam Mamidi. Today we are going to talk about observability in the cloud, especially in the banking domain, how it enhances the security and trust. Let's explore how the observability transforms security and compliance in cloud-based banking systems. We'll go through some practical frameworks, real world examples and technical solutions for today's most pressing financial technology challenges. Let's begin with the landscape of banking IT. We have traditional infrastructures where banks completely relied on premises data centers with the full control over all the systems. With the recent changes in the cloud, organizations began moving selective workloads to cloud providers while maintaining critical systems in-house still. This hybrid transition is somewhat better when compared to maintaining the criticality at the on-premises and still leveraging the cloud solutions. But there are some modern financial institutions completely leveraging the distributed microservices and serverless architecture for agility. They call themselves as cloud native banking. This is where we have the need for advanced monitoring across all the layers becomes essential for the security and the compliance. That comes with the observability first approach here. Let's look at some of the challenges in the banking, especially when you're talking about the banks. We have some financial institutions face very stringent compliance requirements from the Basel III, GDPR and regional banking authorities. This regulatory pressure is always there. As the applications, infrastructures are changing the way they are built, distributed architecture makes it very complicated because it creates complex dependencies across the services, and traditional monitoring cannot work here. The threat surface is also very increasing because the application landscape is moving towards multiple cloud providers and multiple regions. We are increasing the surface of the application, and thereby we are seeing the security complexity as well at the same time. The most important, the data sovereignty. Banks must maintain a strict control over where and how the customer financial data flows and resides as well. We need to resolve all these things in this modern architecture. So how do we build this observability? What are the tools that we have right now? We collect a lot of information, the real-time quantifiable measurements like that track the system performance, resource utilization, and a customer transaction volumes across the banking platforms. The applications that provides logs, a comprehensive chronological records that we say a system of events, a system of incidents, and financial transactions that provide a detailed audit trails. And we have a traces from end-to-end visibility of transaction pathways across the distribution microservices, capturing the dependencies, latencies in the payment processing. All these three will make this observability. This robust observability framework that ensures the complete visibility into your banking infrastructure, strengthening the security posture, maintaining the regulatory compliance, and identifying potential issues before they impact the customer experience or a data integrity. Let's look at some of the benefits of the cloud observability in security view. So we have an opportunity to find out these suspicious patterns early. We can identify these suspicious patterns, anomalies before they become breach, and with quickly trace the sources, the ability to make where the source and the scope of the security instances across the distribution systems, we can reduce the investigation time as well. Visualize all the service connections and potential vulnerability points makes it attack surface mapping easy so that you can pinpoint where the problem is there. Even after the incident, the post-incident forensics make it very easy because of this maintaining the comprehensive audit trails for thorough security investigations. In the view of the compliance and governance, let's take some of the advantages. We have a end-to-end monitoring across all the banking infrastructures that enables a complete transparency into data flows and system interactions. And we have a real-time automated compliance validations that ensures the adherence to the Basel III, GDPR, and local regulatory frameworks. A flexible observability framework allows the rapid realignment to evolving regulatory requirements, system redesign. Immutable audit trails and compliance artifacts provide a comprehensive evidence for regulatory examinations. When you're talking about technical terms, a technical framework, how we could actually implement a cloud observability. Here are the 4 steps we can say that: the instrumentation, collection, and storage and analysis. When it comes to the instrumentation, we need to make our code more intelligent. How do we do that? Strategically integrate sophisticated telemetry code throughout the critical banking application and infrastructure components for a comprehensive visibility. This integration makes the code intelligent enough to give the sources and give the traces so that we can trace them easily and identify this observability, make it better. How do we collect? Not just collecting it, we need to make and normalize these metrics as well also. But how do we do that? Let's establish a robust, a fault tolerant data pipeline to efficiently gather and normalize the metrics, logs, traces from various diverse banking systems. We need to work on the storage as well, because the data diversity is very important at the bank. So we need to deploy a regulatory compliant, highly secure data repositories with a granular retention policies that satisfy both operational and compliance requirements. Let's leverage AI and machine learning algorithms for analysis to correlate the data streams and detect the security anomalies and identify any performance opportunities optimizations there. Here, we are just going through one of the case study from a retail bank. It's a real world example of case where the challenge was the payment processing system breach went undetected. There was a payment processing system breach and it went undetected for 72 hours. Is very critical, but this could actually happen with the traditional monitoring. So in this case, the bank has adopted the implementing the distributed tracing across cloud microservices with anomaly detection, resulting it to detect the any incidences under 5 minutes with a 99.8 accuracy. So this has prevented almost 4.2 million in fraud losses, maintaining regulatory compliance at the same time. Return on investment cloud observability. Let's talk about some statistics that we have received so far. How did the instance reduction happen after this observability implementation? There are 62% reduction, meaning a very few security breaches and compliance violations. When in a case of issue, how fast we are responding back, the response time has increased to 78% because we know the complete infrastructure and we can visualize where the end problem is. We can increase that actually saves the amount of savings at the bank, that roughly around $3.8 million. In the audit purpose, okay, we have a lot of documentation. Reduction in compliance documentation effort is there because we have a comprehensive analysis of the logs which is there, which is actually making 41% reduction in the maintaining the documentation efforts. That actually increases the audit efficiency. Let's look at some of the best practices for a banking observability. When you want to implement the observability at the bank or applications, we should see these things in the beginning itself. Build the observability into your architecture from the beginning, not as afterthought. We need to create this business context, mapping the technical matrices to banking business outcomes and the customer experience. We should be having that map ready. A lot of AI powered analysis tools are available. Let's leverage them. Leverage the machine learning and to detect the anomalies in the complex banking transactions. At the same time, we should be focusing on the cost management. Let's implement data sampling strategies to balance this observability needs with the cloud expenses. And finally, look at the next steps, how the observability journey goes. Let's start with the assessment. If you wanted to implement this observability at your end, these are the steps you need to follow. The first one is always with the assessment. Evaluate your current visibility gaps across the cloud banking infrastructure. Focus on high risk transaction paths first, then do a pilot implementation. Deploy observability tools in one critical banking service. Measure the security and compliance improvements. Let's roll out to the enterprise level. Scaling it to the enterprise level is next comes extend the observability across all the banking systems integrated with existing security operations. We need to continue this journey, the continuation of the optimization. Refine your observability strategy as banking technologies and threats evolve. This is a repeated process. We need to do that. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, if you want to touch base with me, please feel free to connect with me. I'm happy to help that. Thank you so much for your time again.